Right, here we go. So this is now, I believe, technically episode 4 of what used to be the Red Pill Dudes, and we've finally settled on a new name. We decided to call the podcast Stickmen Podcast, and the sort of story behind that is as I've been a professional poker player for 12 years, my username online was Stickman, and or various different sites, but different variations around Stickman. Sometimes Stickman on my birthday, sometimes Stickman Poker, things like that. And we just sort of decided. I started to go into a business, Stickman Sports Betting, and part of the reason why I was always like the Stickman as a brand in the future for things like this podcast or for more so my sports betting was I like the idea of stickman figures being a simplification. So, for example, I'm a terrible artist. I can't draw at all. And when I used to ever draw something, my brother's an amazing artist. He can draw, really good designs and stuff. And we'd be like on the way on a holiday to drive down to Cornwall with the family, and we'd have a little pad and some pencils, and he'd draw like massive dragon and all this kind of stuff, and I was shit, and I would just draw a stickman battle. So it'd be like lots of little stickmen in red.
I used to do that.
Yeah. And that's what I would do. Right? So
did you ever play just like because you kind of like unblocked a memory,
right?
Where you make this, you draw, you have a piece of paper, and then you draw stickmen. But it's like you draw two teams. So you drew 10 and 10, and then you make a pencil from the other side. Just like randomly without checking, like back, and then it's your turn. And it's like a battleship. You have to kind of like.
I can't remember exactly the game, but I do know what you mean. It was like lots of stickmen on a page. I don't know how you won though, but it was.
You have to kind of like get. It's like you're bombing kind of thing with the pencil, like.
Oh, okay, right. Maybe that's a slight variation of what we did, but yeah. So essentially I've always been known for being bad at drawing, and like I said, so the stickman type thing. And we decided, after a couple of beers, trying to come up with, we couldn't replace the name. We couldn't come up with a decent replacement, for a name. And we finally went with, it's my podcast as such, my sort of project. You've got the YouTube channel, and you've sort of been forcing me into this podcast thing. And it's like, right, well, my sort of brand, if you will, was Stickman. Let's just go with Stickmen, and it was simple. And it was like, we're going to just talk about topics and sort of simplify certain things. I thought, why not? We'll go with it. So for now, we're going to go with the Stickmen podcast. I quite like it. It'll probably grow on us. If it doesn't, so be it.
Then we get a third rebrand, and
exactly.
We'll iterate until it
fits. Maybe that'll be our thing. Maybe we'll just come up with a different.
The no-name podcast.
The no-name podcast, yeah. And yeah, the best thing was on the previous episodes, we've been so stuck on this kind of what to do with the name and things that we've even in the previous episodes asked people, can you maybe give us some names? And then I didn't even publish those podcasts yet. So, yeah.
So
just not.
Please suggest us some names. We'll probably just skip them, but
exactly that. Yeah.
It's nice to see people participate.
Exactly. But on that note, now we have officially launched the Stickman podcast. And now we've gone past Rene's. Explained to me that YouTube has a somewhat 15 seconds, some kind of.
Don't quote me on the 15.
Yeah,
it's some amount of time
that you can't pour alcohol or something without some form of breach of contract. So as that time's gone, we're gonna open up to celebrate the launch. We're gonna just drink a little bit of whiskey. We're gonna pour us a glass each here. Or if YouTube is against that, it will be non-alcoholic whiskey. The reason why I'm pouring Rene a very small one there
I'm sure Spotify has no problem with that.
Yeah, he's already half full. So yeah, I've got a bottle of whiskey. I've had a haircut and a nice beard shave, as the viewers can see my wonderful new look. And yeah, we'll get away with it. Did you have anything on this, inaugural episode of the Stickman Podcast? Did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
I didn't have anything like special.
Well, let's cheers to the new podcast then for now. And
yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
It's like what's the name of that toy for kids that they shake and they're happy with it? It's kind of like maracas but for babies. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I think
like a rattle something. Rattle shake.
Yeah, baby rattle.
Yeah. It's like an adult rattle in it.
Yeah, we there's still obviously teething problems. Well, more teething problems on the talk of babies, I guess, but. It
depends on what you're going to say.
Yeah. the teething problems with the podcast in the sense of that we're still, it's just taken us another 20 minutes to set up the sound levels, so probably still have an area there that needs improvement, and we will get there. But as we sort of briefly touched on the last episode, which hasn't gone live yet, I lost a lot of the sort of passion to kind of keep this going since we decided we needed to change the name. Not really preparing anything, so we just thought, because we'd finally got the name, and to force the kind of the regular episodes, or at least to force ourselves to record, we decided to just launch one today, and we're just gonna have basically a chat for an hour or whatever, and just talk about some stuff. And going forward, we're going to sort of properly promote it and share it. We'll take some suggestions on topics from viewers, and we'll structure it a bit better and have a bit more of a talking point sort of to go with. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't have much this week. I was in Helsinki though, and it's just normal. I go from time to time, part of work, but that brings me to the train.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if you travel often by train. I don't know if you enjoy it, but I'm gonna paint you a scene. Okay. You get your ticket. You wake up early, right? Because it's usually early, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
When I take a train, it's either for work or for traveling, going to the airport, usually quite early. You wake up quite early. You're kind of half awake, have a quick shower, get dressed, get out. It's quite cold nowadays in Finland. You walk maybe 10-15 minutes or take a cab, whatever. Arrive to the station, wait there a bit impatiently. People don't really know how to wait or how to not stand on the way. So it's personally, I find it a bit annoying when you're walking and you have to go like kind of like
I hate it. Yeah.
Crossing to everyone, and you get to the train, and then you didn't check your ticket properly when you bought it, so you are on a table for 4.
Oh man, yeah.
And you're like, oh, mate, okay, that's usually not a problem where I'm from, because you can talk with anyone.
Yeah.
It's not like awkward, but here people make it a bit awkward, right? Because they're like, silence is awkward, and then like you can tell people are uncomfortable, and then you get uncomfortable. So then it's like, oh, whatever, put your stuff on top, have a seat, it's empty, you're kind of early, so it's fine. Then someone comes in, and then there has to be always someone that's chatty.
Yeah.
It's not always next to you, but there has to be someone who's really chatty, and then you will hear a quite loud chat during the whole time. And it doesn't bother you, but it's like constant. It's like, and then there's someone who takes off the shoes.
Right.
You get the other one, right? Like maybe in front of you.
She's on the airplane.
And takes the shoes off. And you're like, okay, weird, but I mean, it's a closed space. Fine. If you take care of your personal hygiene, everything's fine. And then there's the other one that's moving constantly, usually sat next to you.
Right.
Moving constantly, thinking like, let me take my jacket. And then they're moving and hitting you. Like, just take the jacket at once, mate. I don't mind you moving. I know you have to take your jacket off. But then they continue, right? And then you have all these bunch of characters. I've never been on a train, take a couple hours trip and be like, that was a very pleasant trip.
Okay.
Not once.
So I guess I don't travel on the train as much as you do. Obviously, it's like you say you go probably once or so a week to Helsinki for work. When I go on, like you say, it's mostly the case. It will be we'll travel back. We'll go to the airport in Helsinki. So I'll jump on the train to go on holiday, go visit family, things like that. So already in a relatively good mood because I'm going somewhere nice. And often, if it had been, if it's an afternoon trip, especially, and we when we land when we fly from England to Finland, for example, we get the lounge at the airport, so I get free alcohol in the airport. Normally I'm pretty tipsy by the time we land anyway, so the train's a pretty pleasant trip for me. But I do get that more so relate with the airplane. I can't fucking stand it when
I'm probably missing the alcohol part.
Yeah, that's the problem with
That
work
is the
getting
problem.
in the way there. But the problem is, for me, I can't fucking stand it where you're on the plane. My pet hate, which is more than that, is I seem to have this real passion for hate with someone when when you get on the plane and as soon as the plane takes off and as soon as that you get 20 feet in the air and the bastard in front of you just presses the button and leans back and you just they get this much they get this much extra legroom and suddenly my tray table is in my fucking teeth. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, that's already annoying, but well, I'm 6'2", 6'3", you're probably a bit more.
6'4", yeah.
So
leg room's already a struggle.
That is already a problem, even if they don't go back, right? Yeah.
And I've got no tolerance for it. I'll travel with me. My girlfriend will go back and we'll pick seats, and I'll just be like, boom, like that. And it's just like, those little metal parts of where they hold the tray table as well, there just digging into your knee, and you're just like, you've already got a problem. And so
you know what's the worst part of those seats? Because I mean, they're uncomfortable, and I had you have the knees are in pain basically, and well, my back is wider than the seat, so then you're
it's just a whole unpleasant
half on the. I try to get the window, otherwise you're gonna get hit by the
cart. On the
cart every single time. But my problem with that, because I don't think I'm that big, but you feel like you are 600 pounds. When they bring the food, and then your arms are too long. so you have to eat with this like a T-Rex kind of thing. Airplanes are rough. Yeah,
they are rough. Sure, it's the
especially when you take a 13 hours flight to Mexico.
I imagine, yeah.
That is a rough one.
Yeah, that's it. That is the I think that's mostly why people drink on people drink on flights traditionally. They're like, ease the nerves of flying, all this kind of stuff. But just to get through the fucking shit show that is, and the stewardesses that go up and down, it's like it's every 30 seconds there's a different cart going up, whether it's do you want a muffin, do you want this, do you want that, do you want to donate to 700 charities on the way, and
not on the plane side flight, mate. Right. You don't get the shit.
So it's kind of like, I just want to stop being run over, my foot being run over. I want to just be able to put my leg out there, in the middle. But yeah.
But I also feel for the. I think there's a lot of jobs that people do that I just you have to be a saint, and I think that's one of those.
Oh man, yeah.
I think that they kind of like, because I'm sure many of those guys and girls love their job, right? Usually when I've talked to a couple of them, they're like clearly happy about what they do. But when you see the kind of stuff that goes down on a plane,
hard work, man. Yeah.
Also the patience you have to have, that's a rough one.
Yeah, I assume most people that do it as well, like air steward or stewardess, whatever, air person. I don't know what even the term for the job is these days, but the point is I think the appeal to it has to be, right. You must fly essentially for free when you're not working as well as when you work, right? But even when you do work, I imagine the downtime's relatively. Like, for example, I get the appeal, I guess, and what I'm trying to say is, let's say you travel from London Heathrow to California. That's your route, right? So let's say that flight is 11 hours, let's just say. No. So you travel from London, you land, obviously that's your work day done, and you probably have a few days in between where you don't work. So I think they travel there.
If it's a few days,
I think it often is with the long haul. So So they do. I get the appeal that maybe you fly to California
and have a couple days.
A few days at a nice resort, paid for. Everything's paid for by the company. You get a hotel, you get food, drinks, whatever. You sit by the pool, you get some sun, you listen to your podcasts like Stickmen, and you have a great time, right? So I get that. What I don't get is when I fly from Tampere to London, Stansted for the Ryanair flight back to England. So they travel, it's a 2 hour, 20-minute flight, 2 hour, 30-minute flight. And they do that flight, I think, 3 to 4 times a day. Okay. So it literally, I shit you not, it goes, they get on, they fly over, they land. I guess they get off the plane, but it's a 30-minute, 40-minute turnaround. They fly back. They fly there and back.
But I feel that's not as bad.
Really?
In the sense of the flight is short. People are not as bad tempered, right? Because
yeah.
on a 2 hours flight, it's like catching a bus, right? It's nothing too bad.
It's a glorified bus route for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you, what I mean, because you don't see that much crap happening, right? In those kind of short trips, you don't get the meals. You might get some snack maybe. They try to sell you something, especially Ryanair, right? And charge you to breathe and everything. Yeah. And then I think that's, of course, it's rough, but people are not so on the edge as when I've flown home and back. Then you get the people that sometimes you've been traveling, right? Because my route to Mexico, for example, is I walk out from my place, 20 minutes, take a train, 2 hours, then wait in Helsinki, fly to Germany usually, or Amsterdam, or London, I guess. That's like the usual. Then you wait there maybe a couple hours. Sometimes I've waited 8 hours because it's like that's what there is. And then you fly 13 hours to Mexico. Then you wait there a couple hours, take a bus. You know what I mean? When you've been, sometimes those trips become longer than 24 hours.
Oh, massively, yeah.
So if you're a person that has been traveling, I don't know, 18 hours, maybe you're not on the best mood, and they put up with that kind of crap, right? And then you get people being unreasonable, and people like, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things happening on a plane that's like, why is people behaving like this?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like it must be way more emotionally taxing kind of thing.
A way easier job doing the London to Tampere for sure.
Yeah, I'm just guessing, right? But like,
I agree. And I think the big point here is that you make is that, like you say, if you go to, like, just to take the California example, like you when you travel, or at least when I travel from London to California or whatever, you know, it's you're fucking exhausted when you get there. You know, you if it's an overnight flight and with big guy, you can't sleep on the plane. You know, it's just a nightmare. But then you think, imagine being on your feet constantly in heels, you know, in a shirt and just trying to be pleasant to people that are like, oh, can I get another coffee or a blanket? And it must be a nightmare. But like I say, I can see the appeal in the sense of I guess if you get 3 days, 4 days in, essentially, I'll go to Disneyland, California with your colleagues and chill a bit, you know, and the company pay, it must be quite nice. But yeah, I think from a social, or maybe not social, from a normal routine lifestyle, it must be a lot easier or less taxing in that regard to just travel London to Tampere, London to Tampere, London to Tampere. Okay, job done, sleep in your own beds for sure. So yeah, it's
less glamorous, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I don't even know how we got onto the topic of, well, from the trains, I suppose.
Oh, it's probably,
But I imagine the appeal of those jobs in particular are that I imagine those people just must have a massive passion for travel, right? So it's kind of they don't mind. That's why they do it, because they get to see the world. I mean, it must be kind of cool like that. But yeah, the side note. This is maybe takes a bit of a morbid turn, but this thing came up on Twitter a while back about which made me think, and it was these always come up in the poker community. There'll be things like they range from everything. The big one that was going around when I was actually in California, when I was playing poker out there for 7 months. The big one there was a really weird kind of topic, and that it was, if you could press a button and somebody random in the world died, and you got
10 times. No, I don't know. I think I've heard this. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the fucked up thing, man. I remember them. They would debate this, and I'd feel like a monster, because they would say it was the money was £1 billion as well, right? $1 billion. They said for $1 billion, if you, and I guess this is like California being California, right? Where we're playing with rich business people as it was, and it's very like kind of, you know, you could say a bit like woke before woke was a thing, kind of, you know, community, and it'd be like, right, if you could press the button where somebody random you'd never know in the world would die, and you would get $1 billion, would you press the button? And people would go into this huge debate of like, oh, it's a really tough bit, right? And I guess this also comes from like America being very Christian.
No, I think it's about it's because you don't have the button. It's very easy for me to say I'm a saint on a situation where I'm not that.
Okay.
If you give me any situation, would you do this or that? It's very easy for me to take the high road kind of like option, right?
Right.
Because I'm not there. You know,
fair
it's very easy for me to say like, no. What if you find $1 million on the street? I'll give it back.
Right.
What if you do this? No, I'll do the right thing. It's very easy to say, but I think once you're there, it's like.
It's a fair point. I'll be honest, I hadn't thought of it like that before. Because the way my brain worked on it was, it's just logical to push the button. Like you'd be stupid not to. And the reason why I'd elaborate onto that is people die every second. Like
I was saying it's the same thing.
People die every single second. There are, you know, 7.5 billion people, give or take, on the planet. We will die eventually. We will die, and if you want to take a purely pragmatic, like accounting almost way of looking at it, $1 billion. I mean, I'm not suggesting everyone who did this would use the money for good, but you could save hundreds of lives with £1 billion, $1 billion, right?
Would you?
Not, but maybe not. Right? But I'm saying that those with the
I'll save one to feel better.
Yeah, exactly. One in, one out. But those with that, like you say, that like saint-like mentality that would say, well, who am I to decide who lives or dies? Well, firstly, you're not deciding. That's the beauty of a button that presses random, right? Somebody dies. You could be killing.
I think if you tell me, if you press this button, this person will die. It doesn't have to be like anyone close to you, but you know who the person is. I think that changes it, and a lot of people would not press it because it's hard. If you tell me this will kill that person, I think that's way harder on your conscience.
You're humanizing it and personalizing it.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Than if you press something here, this is exactly the case as, for example, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but for example, there was a bunch of like these kind of like attacks in Europe, right? That was like a bit of a recent thing,
like the Paris bombing.
And
okay.
there was like a few happening like in a short period of time. And for me, it was insane that you have people in Mexico being like people that are never vocal about this stuff, right? And they were putting like French flags and stuff, and like, pray for Paris, poor them. And I was like, mate, 100,000 people die in Mexico. I don't know if it's every 6 years or every year due to violence. Not once you've said, "Oh man, let's do something about this." Something happens in Europe, miles away from here. I was like, "Oh, poor guys." And here's the thing, right? It's like it's a very because you think of the place as one of the places where this doesn't happen, and that's probably why it's a bit more like harder on you that you're what this happened there, man, that I cannot believe it. But the reality is, like in Middle East, in Mexico, in Latin America, there's people dying all the time, and no one gives a fuck. So that's why it's like that's why when you ask someone like, would you press the button? Oh, I couldn't. It's like, mate, but you don't really care, right?
But here's the thing, like, because I don't want to get too far off a tangent, like I think there's some good points there for sure. That, but just to briefly bring it back to the button, right? Is that I had these? There was like a huge debate at the time. This was like to put it in perspective, this was when Trump was going forward for the Republican candidacy. So he wasn't even going for president. He was this was when he was being voted to be I don't really fully follow American politics, but he was in a battle with X. I can't remember who it was. I'm sure everyone knows, but against somebody else to become the Republican candidate for presidency. And I believe it was Hillary that would have been the Democrat at the time. And I think, and at the time, he was a massive underdog to even become the candidate. So, and then he did. And I remember my poker friend that was there having a huge bet with someone at the time for him to become the next candidate of the Republicans, and he ended up being president. So that bet went horribly for him. I digress slightly. The point is, everyone at this time was shocked by things like, oh my God, Trump could be president, but this was a huge talking point. The casino I played at, the Gardens, it used to be called Hawaiian Gardens, and it's the Gardens in California, and it's really nice place. And basically, everyone there is quite a small community, especially at the higher stakes. Everyone sort of knows everyone. A lot of recreationals that own businesses or restaurants, these sort of things. Anyway, these kind of propositions would always come up, like the kind of hypotheticals of if you could X, Y, Z, and I was amazed at how many of these people were just like, no, I would never press the button. It was like the thing for me was like, and if you said yes, I was like, yeah, of course I'd press the button. And they were like, you're a monster kind of thing. I was like, no, like they're like, you could be killing,
but a monster with $1 billion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now I'm a monster with no money.
Not too dissimilar to Mr. Trump. So no, but that was the thing. It was just like I remember them saying it was like, right, so but you could be killing like an 8-year-old. It's like, right, and that would be awful. It's like, but the point is, there are thousands of 8-year-olds that die every single day from all sorts of causes. And it's horrible. Death is horrible no matter what way you paint it. And the opposite side of the coin is you could be killing a multiple serial killer with or you could be killing somebody who's got really aggressive cancer that is there's lots you can paint it in lots of different lights. And the point Anna said,
or someone who hacks in Call of Duty, mate.
Exactly that. You can only dream. And but the point is like, if that $1 billion you literally can save, like hundreds of people, and so that alone from a purely
it's an exchange kind of.
Exactly right. So there was that, and that was the big talking point, and it led on to, and then someone would always give the fucking nonsensical argument of, yeah, but it could be you, and you're like, okay, I'll take my 1 in 7 billion chance that pressing the button kills myself.
But you've said something quite important, where, because you're I know how you think. You're a poker player. I mean, you have to think like this, otherwise you will be a really bad poker player, right?
Yeah.
But
Could be.
I don't think, or worse, I don't know, like, but because I had this conversation with Petra not long ago, where you see numbers and you see probability, and I don't think that's very common. Like people don't see this kind of like people take decisions based on feelings, instead of taking what's the likelihood of something to happen. And I think when you choose like that, a lot of people will say like, oh, that makes no sense. When in reality, it's like, no, I'm just taking how I feel out of it, and just taking what's the best chance kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I mean, there's the thing is, I think the reason why people have the issue with the proposition is that, like you say, you literally know that you press this button and somebody dies, right? And the people don't think in the case of, yes, but there are, I mean, big numbers are hard to kind of visualize, right? And 7 billion, people are like, well, it doesn't really, what even is that number, right? People can't really visualize it. But like, I don't know the numbers on this, but like millions of people, I assume, die. Like there a vast number of people die every single day, and for all sorts of reasons, right? And the point is that the one person dying is essentially irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, right? And that's what it comes down to. And people saying, "Oh, you'd be a murderer." It's like everyone. There's a butterfly. Without going down too big of a tangent, there's a butterfly effect of every decision we make in life. And like you could argue. I mean, if you eat, if you smoke cigarettes, right, and you smoke a pack of cigarettes every single day, you are reducing your life expectancy. Everyone knows this. This is common sense. It's just pure science. People still do it. You're killing yourself in a, and I'm not here on my high horse like preaching a life of fitness and health, like, but I'm saying we're drinking whiskey on a podcast, right? so it's like, but the point is, every decision you make has a trade-off and has
100%.
has pros and cons, right? So it's one of those where to paint it as black and white as people see it as I'm pressing a button and I'm benefiting a billion and someone's dying. It's like, well, if you look at it through that lens, then yeah, maybe it looks like a selfish.
I also, people don't think, sometimes people realize, because when you have these kind of massive numbers, right, a billion or a million, I don't know what it is,
a billion, yeah,
like the amount of money, it's like, dude, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
like your life it can become, I'm not gonna do shit. I mean, of course, depends on how you manage it, right? But like, it's completely life changing to the point where whatever you want to do, you can do. I find it very hard to believe that, because it's very easy to say, I wouldn't, but I find it very hard to believe that someone who's facing that option wouldn't press a button. I might be like, I don't know, what's the word, cynical, or like, I highly doubt. I'm not saying everyone would. I'm sure there's someone who, you always get this kind of person that, we all know one person, right? That their life could be way better, but they're like too proud or too like, but I find it very hard to believe that it's going to be a big percentage of people not pressing that button. If it was like a real situation, you are there.
If you go into a dark room, no one knows what you did. Yeah, and 100% agree. And I think on that note, it's a good point to maybe say that maybe our viewers could tell us in the comments whether they would or wouldn't push the button. So would you push the button for a billion, or would you kill one random person on Earth, or would you walk away and not take the money and not kill someone?
Just tell us, why would you press it?
Yeah,
I mean,
and like you were joking at the start. You're like, you only get to press it once. People, calm down. Don't break the button. It's on that, like, you can press the like button as much as you like on that. Oh, you see the smooth YouTube segue there.
Smooth.
Yeah, this guy's gonna make it. The second kind of spin-off of that, which is one I've been seeing recently. There's lots of these I can bring in week by week, but this one was this is kind of more of an interesting one, because it's not so clear cut. So it is, if you could, like, what is the number of money that to receive? And this one I kind of find it's quite a good thought project in the sense of, or how much money would you need to take 10 years off your expected life? And let me elaborate on that. So
10 million.
10 million. Okay, so the number I was going to start with was 10 million.
That's the minimum.
Right. Okay. So here's the play. Right. So let's say
no, probably not. Now that I think about it, 10 years is quite a lot.
Right. But hear me out before you think, because I want you to think with all the sort of, because there's a few like rules we'll put in place. Let's just say, to be generous, we're going to give two kind of options, because let's say in a generous life you're going to live and this maybe, so I said, quite a morbid topic, even more so than just pressing a button to kill one. But let's say you're generous, you live to 90, and
it's very generous.
It is very generous. Yeah. So let's say generous, you live to 90, and conservative, you live to 70 as a man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Right. So let's just take the worst case scenario, and let's just say 70. Right.
Okay.
And let's say you're 33, 30. Right, let's just round up to, let's just say 35. So let's say you're halfway to the end, the end goal. Let's just say. So to take off 10 years.
I didn't know it was going to be a depressing topic.
Yeah. You might need another whiskey for this one. So let's say you could take off, because this was the debate I was having with a poker friend a while back, was that the value, and I think this is common sense, right? The value of this proposition changes depending on where you are in life, right?
Yes.
My cousin, he's 10 years younger than me, so I'm 34, he's 24, he's healthy, he's fit. Taking 10 years, he might live.
Oh, you'll take it in a second, right?
Yeah, Lewis, you know Lewis, right? So,
100%.
him taking 10 years off his life for 10 mil, it's a no-brainer. So, because he can live so much more of that life. If let's say he lives to 80, 90, 100 even, taking 10 years off, he'll live so much more life. 10 million retires him for life. He can, never work again. Think how many hours you spend at work on that train, as you mentioned, being pissed off by people bumping past, it might be a valuable thing. However, if our parents, for example, my dad's just about getting on 60.
Yeah,
he might not take, because he's got his house, he's had it, and he values different things, probably, right? Like he's got grandkids. My brother's got 3 children. He wants to see his grandkids grow old, right? Taking those 10 years off, maybe not obviously probably not the same kind of value, but that was where it came down to. Let's say if we take the because for yourself, let's just say we're saying we're being conservative. Let's say it's 70, which is pretty rough. Let's be honest, but let's just say as a bottom end, because you don't know when you're gonna die, do you? That's the thing. You could be making a really
it could
bad...
be 40, mate. I mean,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like the fun of this is you don't get told when you're gonna live to. You just get told you're gonna take 10 years off your life. So for all you know, you're gonna live to 40. And you've got 7 years left, and you're already, do you know what I'm saying? So, but if you have to sort of plan, okay, well, if I live to 120, well, it's a really good deal. If I live to 50, 60, it's a really bad deal.
To be fair, mate, because here's the thing, right? If I would have the money not to work a single day of my life, I'll probably get in shape, and I get you gotta cook. That's like, hey, cook me
so
healthy stuff, like
that 10 years back.
100%, yeah. I think that's how it goes. Yeah. But thinking like that, maybe I would bump it to 50 or 100.
But if somebody said to you, then let's take like this. If somebody says to you,
I would
you're currently, I've got a crystal ball. You're going to live to exactly on your 70th birthday. You're going to die. So we can give you.
It's a bit rough that you die on your birthday.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
It's like a bit of a bummer for everyone else around.
For 10 million, I'd happily die on my birthday. Though, do you know what I mean? They can kill.
I mean, it's not my problem anymore at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
be a hell of a funeral, wouldn't it?
You plan a party, mate, and when everyone shows up, it's like, hey, I died, mate.
Open bar, diamond casket.
100%.
Class is class. But so if you, for 10 mil, that's what the project's always, you get these people that are like, oh, I'd take it in a heartbeat because you could live so much more life. But you said, it's not necessarily as clear cut as that, I think, when you get further down the road of life, right?
I guess it depends, because it depends on at what point you are in life, right? If you're 40, you're broke. You haven't lived your life.
Yeah. Maybe
it's a bit easier to take.
Yeah.
Right now, that's why I say it probably needs to be more money, because, I mean, I'm not wealthy, mate, but my life is quite decent. So if you tell me you live to 16 instead of 70, I don't know. It's still.
Time moves fast, doesn't it?
I like money, mate.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
This is the thing, right? Because obviously you could take it to the extreme, and obviously, like, if you're Elon Musk, you're not doing it. Like, time is way more of a resource for Elon Musk than money, right? So, and yeah, for most people, unfortunately, money is more of a resource, and I think that, yeah, essentially what it comes down to is, it also depends. It depends on, like, obviously lots of different factors, which is why the conversation is quite fun and interesting, because some people just don't even really care about money. Like the fact of, well, if you love your job, right? If you absolutely love your job, you love your life, taking 10 years off for any amount of money seems just silly, right? But
I mean, I love my job. I love my life, but I could love my job and my life on a bigger apartment. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and traveling all around. Like,
yeah, no, for sure. And I think it becomes the point of, if your job is, like I say, as you always comes down to sort of like numbers for me. It'd be one of those things where if you work, if you factor in how much of your life is spent on the train to Helsinki, working with colleagues that you might not enjoy interacting with on a daily basis, working with customers that you might, just doing things that you are paid to do that you just don't, you fucking hate, basically. When you take that away, if someone, if you're working of your life, you're working about a third of your life. So let's say you live 90 years, or obviously you don't start working from the day you're born, but let's just you work for 30 of those 90 years, if that's the case, right? If you work a third of your life. So somebody saying you're going to lose 10 years of your life, but you're going to never have to work a day in your life again, there's a hell of a lot of value to that, right? So the key issue more becomes, well, you are going to sacrifice 10 years of seeing your nieces, nephews, grandchildren, children, whatever it might be, grow up. You might miss, your brother's kids' weddings, whatever that thing might be. So it becomes quite a scale in that regard. But
yeah, for me, I think what it would take for that kind of deal, it's because I cannot give a number because I don't know how things work.
Yeah.
But like now, in the sense of like how far money would take you, but I would have to, if you make numbers, and it's like, let's say I'm gonna live to 60. I would assume I'll live to 60, 65. Let's say after taking the 10.
After tax.
After tax, yeah. But that's exactly my point. Like, let's say after that, I'm gonna live to 60, 65. I will calculate it.
Yeah.
Probably I would bump it up just to be sure. Be like, okay, I'm gonna live to 80. And if it's enough money that I will have, like, I don't know, buy an apartment, buy everything like I want and everything I need, you're set. And after that, maybe you have like 10, 15K at least every month. I think for me, that's quite a big, like, a nice deal of like, I don't have to work. I don't have to
work again.
I don't have to.
If you had 10 million, right? If you think about this, like,
I think if you manage it properly, it's like not a deal big.
Yeah. Like, to put it in perspective, right? If you have $1 million in the bank, I mean, not bank's a bad example, but I'm saying if you put $1 million in like just a basic fund, I think they make like what, 7 to 10% a year in better markets.
Not nowadays, man.
Yeah, but let's say 5%. So you're making 50K a year off $1 million. You got 10 million.
Oh.
So let's just be conservative again, and say it's 3%. So 30K a year. Well, that's already 300K a year of 10 million. So that's if you don't spend any money, you just purely invest the 10 million. But that's what I mean. Spend the 5 million. Let's say you buy an apartment, a really nice house.
But that's what I mean. Because 300K for 10 years of your life, I don't think that's worth.
No, it's 300K a year.
Yeah, but I think it's a good. I think it's good money, but it's not enough for 10 years of your life. You know what I mean?
I don't, because I think you're getting 300K a year without working, so it's like,
oh yeah, that would be good.
Like, so because you're gaining 8 hours a day.
I'll take my current salary.
Yeah. So let's just say if you invest the 10 million and you get 3%, so you're getting 300K a year, and you're gaining 8 hours a day, right?
That's very true.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not a case of you're going to go to work for 300K a year instead of 50K a year, whatever, and you're going to get. So you're getting 6 times salary, let's just say, and you're gonna die 10 years earlier, most people would say, "Oof, that's I mean, think it's still potentially a deal, but people
A lot of people will take it.
yeah.
I can
but
tell
here
you.
is the big one is you are saving 8 hours a day for the rest of your life for 5
Yeah,
days
I see what you mean. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I will take that.
He's like, where do I sign? He's like, yeah. So yeah, it's one of those where, yes. It's just
If for me those are a bit harder. If you give me this or that, bam. No, because this is like setting an amount. I don't know. Because out of my head, I would say like 10 is quite enough. It's like probably enough. If I can choose, give me 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just to be safe.
The way I would paint this, as I said, like if you look at 10 million, let's say you're going to spend 5 million because you're going to buy a house, you're going to buy a car, you're going to probably buy your brother a house. You know,
Nah.
But you know, let's say you're going to blow 5 mil of it. Let's say. And then the remaining 5, let's say you make the 3%, so you're making the 150k instead of the 3k now, 300k, sorry. But your time for the rest of your life is your own. You're getting 150k a year in dividends, as in
that would be decent.
tax as well. But either way, you're gonna live. You know, petrol's not gonna have to work. You're gonna travel the world. You can do whatever you want with all your time, and you're gonna never have to think about money. So that's what it comes down to. Which, when you look at it in a pragmatic sense, it's a good trade if that is your goal in life, because you will never have to work again, and you will live
you live 10.
Yeah,
you live 30 years instead of 40, but then you enjoy your life completely, right?
Exactly,
I mean, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a tough spot, right? Because it does become, well, do you need to reevaluate life circumstances, i.e. relationships? Because, for example, it would be a rough decision for someone like myself to make, where, you know, like, if I made that decision, it's like, well, I'm with Amelia, you know, if we potentially want to start a family at some point, it's like you're burning 10 years of your children's, you know.
Yeah, it's a bit rougher.
It's a bit more of a thing, but in principle, I think it's a plus EV decision, and probably should take one for the team. And it's like, well,
take one for the team.
Take one for the team, and now they've got sports cars when they're 18, so it's
they'll be cons though.
Yeah.
I don't know. You probably can't say that on YouTube. Like, you should, like.
Well, I want children, maybe. If they know me well enough.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Oh, that's a rough one. I'm trying to think, because I like these kind of things, but I can't think of any of those right now.
No, it's they're the.
I have a good friend. I listen to his podcast a lot. Like, he's from Mexico. We studied together. And he's one of those people that, like, they're like you kind of thing, and you know you like them because I like how you think.
Yeah.
And he has a podcast, and he likes making people uncomfortable with these kind of questions.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of one of the questions he asks, but like, can't remember right now.
Speaking of uncomfortable questions, so I had as I mentioned already, my wonderful haircut. I had my haircut and my beard trimmed today. I got it at a new place. I got it in Ratana. I got it in.
Okay.
Just barbershop. It was in there. I've never seen it before, but went in there. Maybe said, "I'll go in there." Whatever. Went in. Long story short, really nice barbers. Those of you in Tampere, I usually go to one or two places. There's a Turkish place next to where you live, where I used to live, and really nice.
They're like Albanian.
Yeah, but it's a Turkish barber. I mean, it's the sort of style of barber, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The guy who cuts my hair. Well, this is one Albanian. I think he's Albanian. I'm not sure.
Albanian, yeah.
And then there's one Iraqi guy.
Yeah.
And that guy is like,
the Iraqi
he knows what he does.
The owner or the...
No. He's just like, he works there, I think. But everyone knows how to cut the hair like quite good. I think it's the best place I've been here in Tampere.
Yeah, it's decent.
But the Iraqi guy, he's excellent. Like, you can tell there's a bit of a difference there. Like,
well, this is interesting then, because that's where I used to go. I remember you were going to Brothers before, which is a previous barber, and I
not a fan.
Yeah, I told you not to go. I told you to go to this guy, and
I loved how they cut my hair halfway. Like, it's not even there yet. You know, I have like a hair here that's halfway, like, still.
But I feel like the place...
and the guy was like, "I'm not finished yet. You're gonna paste the hair back." Like,
I remember I should get commission for that place, because I got you going there, I got Alex going there. I don't even go there anymore.
It seemed, to me, it seemed a bit too fancy. I was like, nah, this hasn't to be like, like a bit too posh, you know, like. I was like, nah, this cannot be good. They're fucking excellent.
Yeah, they're good. I would go there. It's just the other side of town, and it's like I can't be fucked all that far for a haircut. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So I go to the place, Cutters
I've heard of it.
and it's okay. It's like it's whatever. It's what I like about it is it's very Finnish in the sense of you don't really even need to speak to anyone. You book an appointment through the app online. You say, my name's Luke. I want to come at 12:15. Can I have my hair cut? You pay for it on the app, £25, I think, €25 paid, and it says, thank you, Luke. Please come when you're ready, blah, blah, blah. You turn up, you hang your jacket, you scan your code or whatever, you say, I'm Luke. You sit down, they have a mirror with a TV behind the mirror, so which just plays essentially like skiing accidents, like funny skiing, like on repeat. You're just watching people fall over on skis for 45 minutes or 25 minutes, and you're just watching that.
I really like those videos, but I don't understand the laughing.
No,
that's the thing that
manufactured laughing over the top.
Yeah, but like in general, those are supposed to be like funny shows, and I don't find it funny.
They're not funny. No.
I find it interesting, and I like to see. Like, I'm really curious. I'm really curious in general. For example, I was the kind of like kid, or like when I was younger, I was still now would see like there's the videos of the people who get shot or they like get hurt and stuff. I'm curious of like what happens to the body and stuff, and like not in the sense of like I don't find it funny when people get hurt or stuff. I'm curious, but I just don't get the laughing and people laughing from that.
What, people laugh at people getting shot?
Like when people fall, for example. Like not so extreme, but when people fall, I'm someone who enjoys watching that kind of crap just to like out of curiosity, and I still wouldn't laugh like when people fall. Yeah, I just don't find it funny. I just don't get it, mate.
We've gone off on a tangent, but I want to roll with it. Because we had this show. I can't remember. It's called You've Been Framed. I want to say the show was in the UK, and this show was. I could be completely wrong with. I think that's what it was called. And the show was essentially, you would send in like home videos.
Yeah. I think that's every country has the version of that.
Yeah. And it would be like, your mum would send a picture of little Rene when he was 6 years old singing Christina Aguilera or something, whatever.
In Mexico, it was called sopa de videos, like video soup. Instead of video soup. Video
soup. Yeah. Oh, what's a video soup is the thing?
Yeah.
You're talking to a non-chef, mate, I'm afraid, but yeah.
No. Like fideo. Well, it's in Spanish. Right. It's like a noodle soup. So instead of that, it's like video.
Okay, so it's play on words that gone over my head because my uncultured brain. Okay. But
I was thinking, I was translating literally sometimes that happens. Yeah, but that's not a word in English. Yeah.
like video soup. Like.
It's a good one in Spanish. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we had the same thing, and it was always. I'd laugh at you every now and then. You'd have like the drunken bride at a wedding dancing with one of the children, or the groom would dance with one of the little girls in a dress who'd be like 3 years old, and he'd spin around. He'd had so much to drunk, and he'd just spin her, and he'd end up like kicking her in the face across the room. And that would be hilarious. Those kind of videos were always funny, but yeah, the ones which were just like somebody's trying to dive off a house into a swimming pool, and then the pool's like frozen, and they just splat.
Mate, I like seeing them. Don't get me wrong, but for me it's like
to watch.
I mean, it's just curiosity, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a curiosity in the sense of like, I don't know if it happens to you, but you see the video and you see someone standing and you know what's gonna happen. Like, this guy's gonna get fucked. He's not gonna reach. He jumps, bam, he doesn't reach. It's like, what was going through this guy's head, where everyone else knew he's not gonna reach, and he still decided, I'm gonna jump and it's gonna be fucking awesome. And bam, floor. And it's like, at what point you thought that was gonna work?
And that's why you press the button for $1 billion, because there are many of those out there.
It's like, how in what world you thought that was gonna work?
Yeah.
Not even like be a good idea. That was gonna work.
We can come back to this with the awkward conversation about the haircut. Was when I got the haircut, I went to this new place, and really lovely dudes there. Really nice place. Good. I hate to use the term "good vibe," but it was a really good vibe in there. To the point where they were playing, like, it sounds silly, but they were playing like a lot of British artists' music, and they were playing like there was a lot of almost like UK rap and stuff, which you just never see any of it. And then they were playing things like music like The Weeknd and stuff, which obviously not British artists, but just you don't hear a lot of it in barbers out here, and it was just nice thing like that. And the guy asked me, I sat down, he asked me what I wanted, we talked about that, and he was like, where are you from? And I just said, I'm from England. He's like, I could tell because the accent. I was like, cheers, whatever. I was like, how about you? Where are you from? Like, I knew he wasn't Finnish. I mean, he had an accent as well. He was just like, where do you think? And instantly,
that's a bad question to ask.
As a white British dude in Finland, I was like, don't bait me like this, bro. And the worst,
it's a trap.
Yeah, I was like, there's no fucking shot. I'm guessing your ethnicity fucking right now. Hell no. And he and I just said, I was like, I thought about it, and my initial thought was maybe Iranian, like you know, but I thought I'm not gonna guess and just be wrong because, and I said because I was like thinking, my brain was like Iranian, maybe Turkish, maybe Moroccan. It's difficult, right?
It's very hard to tell.
Yeah.
And this is something that people say it's racist to say and stuff, but like because people joke like, oh, you cannot tell Asians apart.
Yeah.
It is a thing where you cannot tell Mexicans and Argentinians apart.
Right. Yeah.
And for me, it's hard here in Finland sometimes to, like, you see someone once, and I will not recognize him out of. It's like because you are not used to that kind of like, you know what I mean?
Well, 100%.
It's like you can recognize people you grew up around.
Yeah, and 100%. And it's a trap because obviously the guy knew I was English because I sound incredibly English to most.
That's a giveaway.
Like, it's not because if he saw me walking down the street, he wouldn't go, "Oh, that guy's British," right? He wouldn't go, "Oh, that guy looks British." He'd just be like, "White dude walking down the street, white European-looking dude." But I could be American.
Could be anywhere.
Could be just a white dude, right? But this guy, it was like really nice, dark, hair. Like looked could be Arabic. Could have been from Dubai. Could have been
Spanish, Italian.
If I had to guess,
it's a bit of the same kind of.
Had definitely more of like an Iranian kind of look to him. But yeah,
What about the accent?
Again, I lean towards Iranian, but I'm not like a connoisseur of accents, right? So if he said, "Oh, I'm Turkish," I'd be like, "Oh shit, okay, it makes sense, right?" But basically, so I said, I bottled it. I didn't guess. I went, "You're about to cut my hair. I'm not about to insult you." So I just went, not sure, no idea. And he went, "I'm from Iraq." And I went, and then I brought the courage up to say, I thought Iranian. He was like, same shit. Like, it was a good icebreaker, and that was that, and cut my hair. So yeah, but I just, when you said about the awkward questions, I just thought I'm very rarely made to feel uncomfortable in life. But when someone asks me, when I say, "Where are you from?" and I go, "England," they go, "Oh, I can tell the accent." "Oh, thanks." And I go, "Where are you from?" I go, "Guess." I basically shit myself. I'm just like, fuck no.
Here's and I don't know, because this is like these kind of like the things you shouldn't say nowadays, right? Yeah. And I didn't know, mate, because my first, I'm Mexican, mate, and nobody guesses I'm Mexican. It has happened to me, I think once. I was training jiu-jitsu, and one guy was like, "You're Mexican, right?" I'm like, no one had ever guessed I'm Mexican. I was like, "How the fuck do you know? You sound like one of those cholos in the movies, mate." I was like, "Huh, okay." And first and only time it has happened that someone's like immediately Mexican.
MMA place you went to.
Yeah. I've been approached by people speaking Russian, which I really don't think I look Russian, but I was approached by someone speaking Russian. I've been approached by someone speaking Arabic, Turkish, all kinds of things. Never, "Oh, you're Mexican."
Right,
That's the only time it has happened, right? And I always, here we live in Tampere, I don't speak much Finnish. Like, I speak it, but not very fluently. I don't use it a lot. So a lot of our friends are foreigners, right? Most of the people I hang out and stuff are foreigners. And it's very common for me. You see someone, hey, you have an accent. You're clearly not from around here. Where are you from? Because I think it's just an easy way to start a conversation. Where are you from? "Oh, this. Oh, cool." Like, and then you ask them something about their hometown or whatever, right? Like. And recently it was brought to my attention that you shouldn't do that because that's racist.
How?
And I don't know. It's like you're telling someone they're not from here or something like that. Because it has happened to me, like once there was this Asian looking guy. I was like, "Hey man, where are you from?" "From here." And he was pissed. I was like, "Oh.
I remember, yeah.
Okay. Oh, you were there.
Yeah.
We were in H5, I think." I was like, oh, sorry, my bad, mate.
Yeah, I totally disagree with this premise. As in, I agree with. I think because I'll let you finish.
Yeah, but like my point is like, well, I ask out of curiosity, and because that gives me easy way to start a conversation with anyone, right?
Yeah.
And it's very clear what you are not from here. If you have a fake accent and you don't look like you are from around here, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that time he might have had an accent. I don't know, but for me it was like someone was telling me like, no, that's racist, man. And then you search online. Apparently that's a thing. That's like you don't ask someone where are you from. But for me it's like, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm actually from here. Oh, you are. Oh, interesting, mate. Like, where did you grow up? And I will just like, I will ask like, oh, but I maybe if you're like, no, but where you're really from? Like, maybe that's a bit more aggressive. But it's like, oh, really? You grew up here, mate? Where did you grow up? This, and you can continue through there, right? But apparently people, yeah.
So
I try not to do it like I try not to be the first one who asks where are you from.
So I think the people that said it, I totally disagree. I just quickly googled. I wanted to get a definition of racism because the definition of racism from Oxford Languages is prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority. Right. So basically, being racist is acting a certain way against somebody purely based on their ethnicity.
Oh no, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
So to say it's racist to say where are you from, i.e. what they're suggesting there is you are suggesting they couldn't be from this particular group, i.e. Finland, right? It's not. I don't agree that it is racist. If somebody's asked you where are you from and you say I'm from Mexico, this happens to me all the time. Like I'll be at a bar or be somewhere chatting, someone will be playing some darts, playing pool, and I'll be chatting with a friend, and as I'm ordering a soda water or a Coke or a vodka or a beer, whatever it might be at the time, a Finnish guy or somebody, it's high probability when you're in Finland playing pool that the person at the bar who's a guy is from Finland comes up to you and says, where are you from? And I'm like, hey, where are you from? And I say, I'm from England. He's like, I could tell because of your accent and stuff. I very often follow that with, what about you? And I'll be like, are you from here or what? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm from Finland. And then I'll just elaborate to, what, from
where in Finland?
Or from, and he's like, oh no, I'm from Jyväskylä, but I moved here, etc., etc. It's like, it's called making fucking conversation. It's not
exactly.
being racist, is
I agree, mate.
I agree. Yeah.
But it was like this was brought not super long ago, like brought up by someone. I was like, never thought about it that way. And I guess, of course, if someone gets offended and tells me like we've talked about this, right? I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm sorry, my bad. But I just find it weird.
I can see here's where the racism or the racist sort of like side could lie.
Well, go ahead.
I see, like, for example, let's say you're in a very multicultural city, let's just say like London, which has tons of different ethnicities, tons of second, third generation immigrants, people that were born in London, born in England, but their grandparents, parents, whatever it might be from India, might be from Africa, might be from anywhere, right? That can be seen as racist if you see, let's just say, someone of Indian heritage, and the first thing let's just say, people call it a Karen, like a white Karen, just says to the girl, "Where are you from?" And she's been
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
No,
that's
European.
Where are you from? And it's still, it depends. It wouldn't necessarily be, as back to the definition, prejudice or discrimination against someone, which to me seems more.
It's a bit aggressive. Yeah,
but if it means somebody, and it can still be like, let's just say the woman who's asked the question is in her 70s and she's just generally curious, where are you from? And the girl says, I'm from Kensington, like she's from London, right? It's like, and the woman goes, oh, sorry, no, I mean, like, where are you originally from?
That's what I mean. That's a bit aggressive. Yeah.
It is, right? But when someone says to you, where are you from? And you say, I'm from Mexico, and then you go, what about you? And you're like, oh, I'm from here. Like, I'm from here. It's just bizarre, right? And even I think the conversation, if you're let's say sometimes you get it wrong, and we were both technically an immigrant to Finland, right? I guess that's the way to put it. It sounds odd to say, no?
I was going to make a joke, but no, that's fine.
What do you think?
Oh yeah, I couldn't make the joke. I have a premise, but I had the punchline. Yeah, continue.
So we're both I'm an expat or an immigrant, or I'm an Englishman living in Finland. So if somebody asks me where I'm from, I'm obviously never offended because I am not from here. But even if, let's say I was a Finnish, born and bred at Finnish parents, but I sound or I look. So let's just say you had Finnish parents, but your dad was Mexican, your mum was Finnish, and they moved here when. You're fully Finnish, but your dad is Mexican. Let's say, like, I still would never get offended. Someone says, "Where are you from?" guess it's the way in which they deliver it, right? If you think they're being
here's the thing. Like I've talked about this. There's this person at my company that it's very
politically correct.
Yeah, I don't know how to say. Like no.
The beard scratch says it always choosing his words very carefully.
I don't know how to say it, but this person is in charge of this like equality and stuff matters, and we're having conversation about this like no, this conversation was like exactly about this kind of topic, and I remember telling her it's not about what people say, it's about how they say it. Because we and I was putting you and the British guys as an example, right? Especially like for example Liam, that he's like he's constantly making jokes at Alex. Everyone, right? And Alex, Alex is like this, like, hey, ¿qué pasa? And this making Mexican jokes, and it's like it's very stereotypical. Yeah. If he walks up to any Mexican out of nowhere, brings a joke like that, he might get beaten up. Yeah. Well, he doesn't because he's funny, but like you know what I mean.
He pulls it off in a weird way.
But a lot of people will get offended. But when he says it, I just laugh because it's like this motherfucker, and he's a really nice dude, and you can tell him he's just like, I like you, I'm gonna make jokes to you kind of thing, and I laugh. And then I make jokes about British people, right? We that's how we manage, right?
And the thing with Alex is he pulls it off because he's got a face that he's like such a, like in a good way. This sounds so negative when I was about to say he's such a clown, but he's so funny, and like
he's like a small kid that you cannot you just like
get away with saying things like when he always says things about, you know, like people's girlfriends.
When he goes to the people at the bar and makes a joke or says something to them, I was like, mate, I will beat you up right away. How the hell is that person just laughing with you? You know what I mean? Like, But anyway, that's what I was saying. It's like, well, I have these people. They make Mexican jokes about like this crossing the border and stuff, and I laugh with them. And there's people who, for half of that, I will get like massively pissed. Yeah. And it's because you can tell immediately when someone says something. If it's for, we're having fun together, or I want to hurt you kind of thing. You immediately can tell. And you don't need, even if it's the exact same words.
And you can always tell with people like Alex, for example, that you know that you're friends or that he likes you, because he would never make that to a random Mexican, because he wouldn't.
Exactly.
But it's like, I'm going to say this to Rene. It's almost like an affection thing. Like he's like, oh, I'm showing Rene how much.
It's kind of like I'm like fun of you because I like you. Otherwise, I will ignore you, kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's no, I totally agree, and I think
it's this kind of, I'm gonna tell you because I've had a couple interactions in Finland where, and you can here's the example, right? You're like, we're talking, right, or something. It has happened like I'm with the Mexicans. Oh, guys, where are you from? Mexico. Oh, Mexico, like with the fiesta and stuff, and like the Mexican food, I love it, man. And like, this guy is nice. He was curious because we were speaking Spanish. We're clearly not from around, right? Like the opposite part, right? There's like, I was with my ex, we're talking on the middle of the street. We're speaking in English. We're waiting for the bus or something.
In Finland, or
no, here in Finland. Right. And then some older guy, I would say on his 70s, comes up to me, starts speaking Finnish. At the time, I had just came here. I'm studying Finnish. I was very motivated of like, I'll make conversation with anyone who wants to speak, right? He starts speaking and where are you from? This is in Finnish, right? So I'm struggling, but it's like, oh, I'm from Mexico. What about you? Are you from Tampere? He goes like, I can understand half of it, right? Because he's speaking Finnish quite quick with a thick accent. Oh, from Mexico. I don't, like, how can you be from Mexico? Like, how can you live in a land with, like, full of criminals? I'm like, turn to my ex, right? Did I understand correctly?
So man,
and she starts kind of like nervous laugh and like, well, I guess you did. I was like, what the actual fuck?
See, I would have had to respond like off the top of the head there, where you'd be like, how can you live in a land full of criminals?
No,
I'd be like, well, you know, it pays pretty well, mate. Don't knock it till you tried it. Or I would say,
no, but this is in Finnish, mate. I cannot come back with like that in Finnish. Like I can barely speak.
Or just but if you can't beat them, join them and just make the joke.
But the thing is, like, I've had this kind of like racist like interactions where you're like
full of criminals.
I'm out of words, mate. It's like I don't even know what to answer to you, mate. Like, it's what the actual fuck? And then I turn around like, I wish I was fluent in Finnish, mate. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that my point is, this is the two sides, right? One is the friends like giving you some shit, and then there's the people that's racist. Like that is a bit like
well, beyond racist.
That is a bit aggressive. Like you just walk to me to tell me like your country shit.
Massive prick, isn't it? Just on all levels. Yeah.
I've also been called the old-fashioned Finnish N-word. I'm like, I'm not even that dark, mate. You know what I mean? Like,
I know the word. So you can't even say, you know how to say the word.
I didn't get it.
You didn't get it.
Like I bumped into this. You have had an encounter with the same guy.
I've been called it, mate. Which was
you've been, short guy in the middle of the street. He's always drunk as fuck.
Always wants a cigarette.
He always had
yeah,
and he has like always a bottle with him.
Yeah.
I've had 2 or 3 encounters with him.
Aussie bar.
He's always around having
got. Aussie bar, he's always outside, and he'd ask you, for example, have you got €2? And
he's asked me to me. I'm on the park. Do you have a euro? Nah, fuck off, me. Comes back. We're in the park drinking, right? He comes back 20 minutes later. Do you have 40 cents? Nah, mate, fuck off. Comes back.
Negotiating.
Do you have 20 cents? Mate, fuck off. No. He comes back. Do you have 10 cents? I'm like, what are you doing, man? That was my first encounter. Second encounter. I don't speak Finnish. Oh, you don't speak Finnish. You don't speak Finnish. Give me money for the bus. I don't have money. Then what the fuck are you doing in Finland? I'm like, well, I don't have money for you, mate. I have plenty of money, but not for you. What the fuck are you doing?
Honestly, I've got too much money to spend. It's just not.
Just not for you, and not in coins, mate. I'm not like, who uses coins nowadays in Finland, mate? No one.
It's like, sorry, I've only got this bar of gold in my pocket.
But one between those, like it was the third, like the second in this case, and it was like we were walking. He almost bumped into me, and I just moved. And he's like, oh, sorry. I ignored him, continued walking, while I was walking with Petra. And he turned and shouted something like, blah, 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 blah. I turned around. What do you say? And Petra pulled me. And the guy said nothing, right? I was like, that's what I thought. Turned around. And later down the night, like the evening, Petra told me, he said this. That was the N word. Like, not N word, but something. The older version of like in the Finnish language. And I was like, that's pretty good. I didn't understand, right?
Yes.
But, and I was like looking at myself. Okay. That's a weird choice of words, but okay.
I mean, they're not educated, the people that use it, are they? Let's be honest.
I mean, that guy, I'm surprised he's still around, you know what I mean?
My mum says you can't educate Paul. It's one of those things.
And you always, also, like, he's racist, like, really racist dude. I see him every day. He's always there with a bottle of something, like drinking. He's always asking for money for the bus. I was like, so, you don't want immigrants? You think immigrants are bad for your country, but then you're fucking wasted at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. It's a bit of a weird. I would like to see what his thought process is, right?
If his thought process made sense, he wouldn't be on the street asking you for 40 cents, calling you racist.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
So, yes. That's it. I've not, as you can tell, I've not necessarily had, the most racial inequalities thrown at me in my life, so can't fully relate.
I wouldn't have guessed.
But I've had my fair share of arseholes being arseholes, and I even in Finland, like, I mean, what should be made clear is we've discussed this before.
Here in Finland, it's never the successful people who are complete assholes.
Yeah,
in my opinion, I'm in my experience, I don't. It might be, but
No,
I haven't met those people.
I agree, and I would say that, like, do you remember when I moved to Finland? I think a few years after it, there was like I don't know how these fucking awards even come up, but there was like Finland won like a kind of the most racist place in the world, like country.
Really?
Yeah, it was like 2017, 18 or so.
I would say there's worse places.
Of course there is. I don't understand how they even judge this metric, right?
Because here I rarely get that. Like this encounter is the same with you 3 times.
Yeah.
And I have once in Kaupahalli with some 70-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And a couple here and there, but nothing extreme. Like people, I think people here, you rarely get something that people tell you.
Yeah, no.
You often get like these kind of looks that that guy is not happy with foreigners.
Maybe that's it.
But people are rarely vocal about it.
I know totally, but people in Finland are very rarely vocal about many things, right? They sort of keep to themselves. But either way, I remember this popping up. Like, it was an article someone sent me after one of my friends from England sent me an article, and it was something along the lines of list of 2018's most racist countries, and number 1 was Finland. I remember thinking like I just laughed like, I don't know. It's like it is a majority white environment, like, but at the same time, it's not. Doesn't seem very hostile towards other ethnicities. But either way, the point is, what you're sort of saying is that we've said this before in a previous podcast, where like every fucking culture and nation and environment has more than their fair share of arseholes,
100%,
and in a sense, and
more than they should.
Yeah, exactly. Which is again why we press the button. So the point is like I lost my point completely actually. But we were discussing
racist people.
Yeah.
Every country has their own.
Oh yeah, and you're gonna get, and like you say, it's always the uneducated people have stupid opinions on everything, and unfortunately, race and inequality fall into those.
Racism comes out of like what's that? You're just not smart enough. You know what I mean? Like it comes from you're uneducated. You're not smart. It comes out of you're afraid of the unknown, and I think that's where racism comes. It comes from ignorance.
On a brief side note, and on that note of ignorance and stupidity, would you like to hear a joke on that exact level, basically?
Yes.
Well, give or take, right? So a man goes into the doctor and he says, "Doctor, I need your help. I've been having sex with my wife, and I've been using a condom, and we always use a condom, but she's got pregnant and the condom didn't break. So I don't know what's happened. Can you help me?" He said, "Let me tell you a story." He said, "So a man goes out to the woods. He goes out to hunt a deer, and he takes a pistol, and it's a revolver, and he goes up but there has no bullets in the revolver, and he walks up to the deer, and he points the gun at the deer's head. He pulls the trigger, and the trigger drops to the floor dead. Sorry, and the deer drops to the floor dead." He says, and he opens the revolver, and there's still no bullets in the gun. And the man says to the doctor, "But that's just nonsense, doctor. There's no way. Somebody else must have shot that deer." And he said, "Good. I'm glad you understand." There was a very brief, like, by the way, on this podcast, you probably know I'm not the best joke teller, but that was fabulous. But either way, that when you said stupid people, and it just made me think of that joke, which was but the point was sort of just get back to the Finland, most racist country, to sort of almost close on the same year, which was hilarious to me. Finland won the number one of the world's happiest country. So I thought
it's because of the jokes.
Exactly. It's like it was basically the most racist country in the world, apparently, from some bullshit metric. Obviously, it's not.
Yeah, there's no way.
Obviously, it's not. It's just clearly.
Because I come from Mexico, right?
You do indeed.
And I would argue that Mexico is even more racist. Because here, ignorant people are racist. And then you get that from time to time, and you see that from time to time. As I said, it's never from the people that you are like, "Oh man, I'm offended." It's like, wait, if this guy thinks I'm less than him, it's like, he's fucking delusional, right? Mm-hmm. But in Mexico, for example, you see like, because I have like light eyes. So it's like, like some people call me, like if I go to the market, you get called güero, like blonde guy,
that's
right?
My favorite, like that's my favorite Mexican.
Yeah, I get called like that. My brother, he's like clearly like super white. As you've met him, like he's really white. Have you met him? Probably not.
I've not met him. I paid online.
You've played, yeah.
But
like weird, he's really white, like blonde. He's literally blonde, blue eyes kind of thing. I'm a bit darker skinned, more like on like my dad's side, but still for the Mexican standard, I'm quite light skinned. And then statistically, I would get more opportunities if I apply for a job. People trust you more. I have all the advantages of like statistically.
Because you're a light Mexican.
Light Mexican, light eyes. I am tall. Like you have all this like that statistically they give you a bit of a chance kind of thing. Okay. So I never got to that kind of like you are segregated kind of thing, or like you of course by the people who have money, because I studied with a lot of people who have like they were quite well off, and then you get that kind of like, oh, you're the broke one kind of thing. Yeah. But then later in life, like my life was quite alright. Then you come here, that's when you first start feeling this kind of like differences, and then people being racist kind of thing. It's like, okay. But in Mexico, I would see people who are dark skinned, and then it's like the people I studied with that are kind of light skinned and rich or like well off. they would make fun of the darker people, and that darker guy, he would make fun of the darker guy. And you know, everyone's racist to everyone, and everyone's like classist with everyone, and everyone's like, if I'm better than you in any single kind of thing, people make fun of it and put you down, kind of thing. And you don't see that here that often, mate. And I would argue that Mexico is a way more racist, which is weird because in Mexico everyone is mixed. Everyone is a mix of something.
I think that's, without being like, you know, giving my uneducated opinion, which I am going to do, like, I think that is probably like London is, or England in general, massively mixed, like, you know, multicultural. And I'd say England's way more racist than Finland. And I think that's probably what it is, right? If you're, you know, somewhere with a very dense ethnic or density, it's probably far less racist because
everyone's the same kind of looking.
Yeah, exactly. If everyone looks like this, there is no racism towards. If everyone's X, there is no racism towards Y because there is not a lot of representation from Y.
No.
But when they're it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, the without, you know, preaching too much, it's one of those things where, you know, 1,000 years from now we'll all look the same anyway, and then we'll have other reasons to hate each other. So you know, it doesn't.
100%.
So it is what it is, and I think it's one of those things, right, where we all, like I say, it sounds really hippie by the end of this podcast, but we're always striving for a better humanity, right? So it's like we all I think everyone with a brain agrees that, you know, disliking someone for the way they look is just stupid and just. But as I said, when we're older, we're old men in our, you know, 80s or 70 if we get 10 million for some kind of proposition. We'll have probably things about us like that our grandchildren or, you know, the younger generations will think we're bigoted for, right? So whether or not it will be.
I think that's happening now.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You already tell that people are like, oh, this should be like this, and you're like, I don't know.
That's the fear. Like, you know when you're a kid, right? At least for me, right? I remember being a kid, and my granddad would say something, and I'd be like, oh, "Granddad, you can't say that." And you know, your granddad would say that. You know, he would say something like, "You can't say that. That's not nice." Like about whether it be about gay people or, you know, and he'd say something that you'd be like, "Granddad, that's not right."
Yeah.
And now there are certain things that like people say, and I'm like. I hate to become. You don't want to become the old person.
You don't want to be a grandpa.
You don't want to be a grandpa who's like, you can't say this because what we call the woke crowd say you can't say that, and I'm like, but maybe I'm just a grandpa at 34 that's, you know, it's just massively bigoted beyond my ways. But yeah. But I think, what do you think? I think this is a good spot to wrap up the first Stickmen podcast.
I think so. I think it was decent.
It was good. Yeah.
I hope people liked it.
Yeah.
Press like, subscribe, activate the bell, all those kind of things.
Yeah. We'll see everyone next week, and we will post this one. I will post this one before next Friday, I think I'll just get it posted, and we'll start sharing it. And if not, then my bad. But either way, yeah, please comment, please subscribe, please like, and please let us know any content you want us to discuss, because we've got very interesting opinions, and we'd like to share them.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. See you in the next one.